Hello, Teresa here from the UK. I hope you're all keeping well. Firstly, apologies to everybody on the Facebook group that I haven't been on there for a while. I had terrible trouble with my phone. I normally access Facebook through my phone. I've lost it from Facebook and I don't know why. So now I have to set up the big PC and have to go off and use it there. Hopefully I will get this sorted out within a couple of days or so, but I'm lost to know what's happened, so apologies to you all. I haven't been up to date with the postcard swap or anything because of this, so I am very, very sorry. Talking about the postcards, they are absolutely fabulous. I'm so pleased with them, and I will be doing something special with them when the last one or two come in. And not only are the postcards fabulous, but the stamps as well. Look at this, from Australia. I'm going to make that bigger. Never seen such pretty stamps. Can you see that? And that is beautiful, and that's from Louise, and this is from Patricia, and her envelope is decorated like this, and it's absolutely fabulous. So thank you all very, very much. It's quite overwhelming actually, and it's quite emotional, so thank you to everybody who's taking part in the postcard swap. I don't want to spend too much time doing this. Now I can't find my list of welcomes, hello, for Facebook and YouTube, so I'm really sorry. I won't be reading out any names unless I find it by the time I finish the video. But anyway, want to crack on. I hope you're going to enjoy this project. I've enjoyed it, and once again it is a project involved with using up your scraps, just strips and little pieces of scraps that you might normally throw. Okay, so we'll make a start and we get on immediately. So here's today's project, and it's slashing, fabric manipulation and slashing, and it is so easy to do and it's great fun. I'm just going to show you my example. This is something that I found in my box. I'm finding so many things in my packing boxes, things that have been packed away for goodness knows how long. I would imagine this could be a good, well, I think this might have been a COVID problem. Yeah, COVID was a problem. I think this might have been a COVID project or round about that time, judging by the material that I've used. But anyway, enough of that. So this is the front and this is the back of a small wallet bag that I made. You see I've embellished between the slashing with a few cross stitches here, and we've got some running stitch here. It's basically machine sewn, but you can do this by hand. It will just take a little bit longer. I'm going to do our project by machine, and you see in between the obligatory sequins, the obligatory bing peeping out from unexpected places like there. Can you see that? Yes, no project is complete without the shiny sparkly bling. There we are. Now this reminds me very much of the project for the ruffly bag, although it's two different methods. Thought I had it there. Two different methods of working. One with ruffles, as you know, but this is slashing, but it's not a million miles away in looks. But anyway, I'm just going to show you this in its entirety. There we go. So you can see that that is the overall effect. I'm going to make that bigger just for a second. There we are. And you get a better picture of the slashing, and the slashing is great fun to do. And you can see there's a variety of fabrics. We've got lace there, I've got some satin there, dress fabric here, and the sequins as well. There's ribbon here. If you can see that ribbon there, it's the ribbon I've used for the tie as well. We've got some sparkly Christmas fabric there. There is all sorts of fabrics. Now the nice thing about this as well, it's all made with waste. Once again, it's waste. So it's a really nice way of using up all those bits and bobs from your rag bag. Those things that you think, oh, I can't possibly use that, it's too small. Well, if you look at that little strip there, it's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches long, which is what, 10 centimeters long there. We've got a smaller piece here. If you can see that piece poking out there, that is 1.5 inches long. So all those tiny, tiny pieces that you think, oh, I can't use that, what am I going to do with that? Well, this is ideal. Okay, so I'm going to make it smaller now, just turn it round to the right side. Now, it's a slashing project with a difference, because inside I have attached a bag. Now, I've taken a big step and I'm starting to use my vintage fabrics. I did say to my daughter-in-law, as you know, those of you who know Tess, who gives me a lot of fabric because she's in the textile profession as well. She's very, very clever, and she gives me an awful lot of these, and she gets these from India in person, or she gets them all over the place, and she's always on the go collecting fabric for different shops. I can't name the shops, but different big shops. And any samples over, well, yeah, they come my way. But anyway, I was talking to Tess and I was saying to her, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these vintage tablecloths that I'm saving, because my daughter won't want them and nobody I know will want them. And she sort of shrieked, I want them, I want them. So Tess is going to have them at some point in probably 40 years time. we hope. So the vintage tablecloth here, no, it isn't a vintage tablecloth, it was an antimacassar. Now I've put this in and made a little bag from it. I've only cut the edges and I haven't cut any of the handwork that somebody has spent a long time doing. So that is the little bag with a flap. Now these are magnets. These are very, very strong magnets. You can pick them up anywhere really, and they are like that. Buttons for decoration. It's secured at the top. Now I think if I were doing this again, which I will be doing in a minute, I might also put a pocket maybe here. I'm not sure whether it would close. So that is the pocket. Now you might have seen me just knit the box there. That was just for effect to show you. And I think this would make an ideal travelling bag. There's a little airport just at the end of the road, and there's a lot of light aircraft that go over, private. Now I've already sorted out the fabric, and I'm going to show you the fabric. Now, as with this one, and you can see bits of it poking out there, I've used a felt background, and then I've covered it with fabric and the slashing. So the felt is actually sandwiched between this fabric and that one. So just pop that to one side for a moment, over there. Now all we do here with all the little pieces that you have, once again, in your scrap bag, your rag bag, just going to cover this up. Now as you can see, as I lay these down, they're basically all the same length and width, just these particular ones, and these were all samples. They were all stuck together on a card, and they're very useful because these are the sort of things that shops will throw because they're too small to use. They've served their purpose and that's it. And it really is criminal. It really is. Now that's a longer one. Now we don't have to be too precise. I'm going to cover that up with one long one and two long ones. Right, let me make sure. I want to make sure that this is covered, that the pink background is covered. Oh, that might just do. Lovely. Now I'm going to put a few pins in there just to hold it down. Hold it together like that, and I can feel the background underneath. So these are extending over the background. Not that it makes any difference really, but I just like to know that it's all covered, all that pink. Right, so that's all done. I'm just going to trim round here. I don't want all that overhang there. Then I can gauge where the background finishes. That's it. And I still have a little bit of an edge around there, but that's okay. Right, so don't throw these. Put these back in your rag bag for another project using waste, and who knows what that'd be. Perhaps if you've got any ideas you can let me know, but they'll be saved. Precious things, totally precious. Right, so the next thing I'm going to do now is just machine sew this in lines. Now at this point you can actually just follow a template. You could draw a flower, you could do it in circles, you could do whatever you wanted picture wise on this, but to keep it simple, because I don't really want to make this a very long project, I'm just going to do it in straight lines as I did here. But you can imagine how nice that would look if you had the time to do it in circles, or maybe a bird, something else other than straight lines. But at the moment this is what I'm going to do. First I'm going to machine sew around the edge and take the pins out just to make it easier. Sew around the edge, all the way around the edge here, and taking the pins out. You can see maybe the sewing there. So I've taken the pins out and I'm now going to start sewing down here, down the rows. Now if you want this look that goes across, when it's folded you get the slashing going across, then you need to work lengthwise this way. However, if you want the slashing going down that way, then you just do your sewing that way, okay? So I want mine lengthwise, so I'm going to go down this way, and I'm just going to do rows and rows of machine sewing from one end to the other. Now don't worry about the width. You can have thick ones, thick lines, and narrow lines. It all adds to the texture and the nice look of the finished piece. What else? I'm using a stitch length 9, which is the second longest stitch. Okay, so all I'm doing now is rows and rows of machine sewing. When you do this, you might want to do different colours. It looks really nice in different colours. If you want to use up different coloured threads that you may have on your bobbins, it does look lovely. So I'm just going to start with a little backwards and forwards stitch. The first one done. Just see how quick it is to do that. Now I'm just undoing that so I can show you. there. Now I'm going to carry on doing that, varying the width, and I'm going to go right the way across. That's that done. All the lines have been sewn down now, sewn into place. Now if you have a look, you can see that some of them aren't very straight, but that doesn't matter. If you look here, that isn't straight there. It goes from narrow to wide. That's no problem. And the same here, many of them are wonky, so please don't get hung up about how straight your lines are. It doesn't matter, so please don't worry about that. Now if you haven't got a sewing machine, don't feel excluded, because you can do these by hand, little running stitches, tiny little running stitches. You could make perhaps a smaller project if you didn't want to be involved in all that hand stitching, all those rows of hand stitching. Just perhaps do it half size for something that small. Okay, so anybody can do this. So now we have the back. You can see all the lines on the back as well, and it's made quite a nice quilt, quite a sturdy quilt that at this point would be nice to applique over, applique, and do some design work on there. Well, then there's a thought, isn't it? No. This started off as one project. Let's stick to it. Let's stick to it, because this part now is the fun part. Now with a sharp pair of scissors, nice sharp scissors, probably a small pair, or your quick unpick, and that's my preferred choice as long as it goes through all the fabric. We're going to slash these. We're just going to run the quick unpick right the way through, and look at that, just even the sound is fabulous. Right, now I've got the first row there, so I need to go back and see if I can pick up a few more rows. Now I'll make this bigger so you can see. You just listen to this sound, absolutely fabulous. There, I think that's gone down there. Yeah, it still needs to go. And the idea is not to go through to the back, so we have to avoid the background. Let's have a look. Are we there yet? Is that pink there? No. Just keep checking that you haven't gone through. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you did. That's really no problem. Oh, I think I put more layers here than I really intended, or I remember. I only did it a little while ago. Right. Is that the pink? There's the pink. Right, I'm through to the background now. Now, just got to be careful. If you have a nice pair of scissors. Oh, no, I'm still not through to the back. Right, let's have a look. No, I've missed the back. Let's see. Right, yeah. I just need to cut this here. This is just such a nice thing to do. Oh, there's only a little bit there that I've missed. Right. Oh, look at that. That one's slashed right the way through to the back. So we can see the back there. Now you might want to go through to the back on some and leave others. Just do it in layers. I did this one. In layers. You see. So if you open that up, there's the background there. You can see. Oh, there's the background there. The yellow there. But then on another line, I've only slashed a couple of rows and not them all. That's the background there, but if you come along here, look, you can see green, and it just gives a nice effect when it does open. You just get the nice effect. You get the background poking through, yellow there, and the background, it tends to unite. There's a background there. Let's see if I can find, look, that's not the background there. Oh, not the background there. That isn't background, that is actually orange fabric there. So that's all the sewing and the cutting done now. Now I did have an accident at the back, and as you can see here, I had to do a mending job there, where I went straight through the background there and there, but I've corrected it with a little bit of over sewing there, so that's fine. But what I should have said, when you use your quick unpick here, use the ball there. You see the ball there underneath, between, like that, and that will stop this bit from digging in. What I did, and what I normally do, is use that end, but it went wrong in this instance. So yeah, when you do it, if you're new to using these, just use it ball side in and along, okay? All I'm going to do at this point is just cut back some of these layers to expose some fabric. So these scissors aren't very good, actually, they're not very sharp, but this is all I'm doing. I'm going to cut back some of the layers to expose different pieces of fabric, like that. You don't want to cut back too much, just so when it bends, when it's like this, it does open up. Now at this point, after I've done this, or before, it's common practice to stick these in a washing machine and give them a rinse, and it fluffs them up. But with this fabric that I've used, it's silk, actually a silk, it's a synthetic silk, and it frays. It's terrible for fraying, or good depending on what you're doing, so I really don't need to do that, and I didn't do it on the one that I showed you earlier, the completed one. Didn't do it on that. So it's really up to you. Now another reason I didn't do it is because of the felt background. If you use a background like calico and you want to do that, that's okay, but with felt you have to be very careful not to hold it or stretch it. So if I personally, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't put it in the washing machine with a felt background, and I'm not putting it in the washing machine anyway because of this fabric I've used, which is frayable anyway. Now I'm going to carry. So I've given it a haircut, exposed a bit more of the underneath fabric here and here, and I like the way it's looking, but there's something missing. There doesn't seem to be a focal point to it, so I think what I might do is put some applique on here. And that was an idea that I mentioned at the beginning of this, when I said it would make a nice piece of quilting. Well, the applique stuck in my head, so I think I'm going to put some applique over this, but not cover too much of it, because I do like the effect this slashing has. So I might only just cover little bits of it, just for a couple of focal points, bearing in mind that one will be the front and one will be the back, so it will be folded along here, so I don't want too many on such a short space. Now some time ago, my daughter-in-law, my lovely daughter-in-law, gave me a pair of trousers like these. I mean, there's no way in the world that they would fit me. They were size 10, and she said you can cut these up. So that is just what I'm going to do now. I've split the seam on the leg here, and I think I'm going to take out some of these flowers here, the pink ones, and these are just waiting. Look at these, beautiful, they look like a drawing, are just waiting to be painted. fabric painted or embroidered or whatever we want to do with it. But just for the time being, I'm going to cut out some of the pink and see how the pink looks placed around here. So I'm going to start with that one. Well, it's quite a tough fabric, it's cotton, so I'm going to cut these out. I don't think I want too many. Oh, I've got the hem there. Right. Just cut that. Right, so I've cut out a selection now, and all I'm going to do is try and place them. I've cut out the pink ones, several pink ones, but also some of those lovely white ones. Now I just want to place them, make a pleasing arrangement, and then I'm going to secure them down in place. And I think I'm going to machine sew them. I'm not sure, I might machine sew them. So as I said, I don't want too many because I don't want these slashed areas, too much of it covered up. So now I'm going to secure them with a pin, put a pin through each. Oh. And then secure them, or maybe with a little running stitch actually. Right, I'll spend some time now away from it. I've done up until now in one session, and it's a bit hard going actually. So I think I'm going to break here now, put it away for a while, and then I'll come back later, have a look, make sure it's looking okay, and then decide how I'm going to sew it down. I've machine sewn them with a very small stitch this time, so I've come off the number 9 stitch and I've gone for the second smallest stitch, and I'm just now trimming around the sewing stitch all the way around, just to give it a little bit more of a shape. And so far I think it's looking good, but I've had an idea while I was sewing it, but I need to look at it after it's been trimmed just to see if I can work out an idea, because at the moment I love the look of these flowers, I really do. I think they're lovely, but they're looking a bit like blobs. They're looking a bit like lost souls just floating around. So I need to do something to maybe join them, make it one composition. I have an idea, but as I said, I just need to finish trimming this and then I'll have a look. Right, so this is now done. I just need to trim a little bit around there, and that's finished. There, now they've all been trimmed, so they've all got a really nice shape now. They're looking more like flowers, but I think they still need something. Now this will open and close this way. It's going to go that way. So I'm thinking I might make these flowers with stalks and leaves, but once again I don't want to cover up too much of the slashing, so I'm going to go away and think about that. I mean, the logical thing to do really, if this was going to be one piece, would be to go with the warp down here, go this way, long stalks and nice bushy leaves. But if once that's closed, it's going to look a bit silly that way. So I think I will go this way, and maybe if I can find some leaves, I might applique the leaves in the same way that I've done these. Just give them a bit of a flower look, or maybe not, might do it in thread. But at the moment I just need to go away and have a think and just work it out for a while. Done. As you can see, I've covered up some of these slashing, but not too much. I still think you get the idea of the texture of the fabric behind the applique. You can still see the different colours, so I still think it's worthy of being called slashing or fabric manipulation. The applique, I cut the leaves from a piece of fabric. Decided not to put leaves on them all because once I placed the leaves down, it did look very, very busy. So I've just picked out a few of the flowers, bearing in mind, once again, this will be one half. That will actually be the back, and this will be the front. So at the moment, I'm quite pleased with how it's looking. Next step is to put some stitchery in. So I'm really not sure at this point how I'm going to approach it, whether I'm going to outline it maybe in running stitch or even blanket stitch, or do some running stitch inside the shape or along these lines. The same with the leaves. I don't know whether I'm going to leave them like this or vein them. I'm not sure how much decoration it actually needs, because the back is very, very decorative, more so when it's in front and your nose is just here. So yeah, I really do need to leave it now for a while, switch everything off and go and have a coffee. Well, the front's finished now. I'm not going to add anything else to it. These leaves here, all the leaves actually, and the heads, have all been decorated with running stitch. You can see the red there and the brown. So every piece here has running stitch to hold it down. Well, not necessarily to hold it down, but just to decorate it. The stems are chain stitch. You can see here the brown ones are 2 rows of chain stitch. We've got a single row here. Now I started to add some cross stitches here for the background, and I thought they're not really adding anything. I'm going to leave it, but I'm not removing them because I've done it. There's no point removing them, so I'm just going to leave them. So that is now finished. If there's anything I think of along the way, then I can add to it very carefully, but at the moment that's enough, and that's how it will look. That will be the front and that will be the back. Unfortunately, I think the back is nicer than the front. It's a shame that I didn't do that as the front, but hey ho, never mind. Now the next step is to find a piece of fabric to cover up this, the background, and I had this piece, and this is all I trimmed from it. That's all I had. That's all I had to trim off. So that was meant to be. Now I found the centre like this, bearing in mind we're working with back and front. So I'm going to put a pin here, there and here for the centre. Now I'm going to get rid of that for a minute. Now this will be what you see when the wallet or the folder, the cover, whatever we're going to call it, is open. So that's what we're going to see. Now I've also found a shirt pocket. I collect, say, shirt pockets, and you never know when you might need a shirt pocket. I've trimmed around it. This belonged to my son, so you've probably seen this fabric from his shirt. Now I'm going to pop this on one side, round about there, and machine it, and to machine it this way, right side to wrong side, so that I can bring it over. And then I'm going to add some vintage embroidery. Now this piece I picked up for £1 in a local charity shop. Now I've had to cut it, but I don't want to disturb the sewing. Now I want a pocket here. I want half of it on the back. So there's my guide, the pins, half of it that way. And I want a flap. There's the piece, I've cut that piece off. I'm going to attach that there. So I have a pocket here. Okay. Now this will go that way, but on the back. Wrong side, right side to wrong side. And then that will fold over this way. Oh, I'm making a real pig's ear of this. And then that will be machined there. But first of all, I need to neaten this so it doesn't fray. Now I think I'm actually going to line it to give it a little bit of body. So I'm going to put that on there and machine sew along here. I'm going to do right sides together, right side there. We'll call that the right side. Machine sew along there, and then just tuck it in back there, and we'll have a nice neat edge there. So I'm going to carry on with the machine sewing, and then as soon as I've done that, I'll get back and we'll have a look to see what our next step should be. So I've got right side to right side here, right side and right side, and I'm just going to machine sew along there, make a nice seam, just a short seam, don't want to make it too big. So along there, right, that's that one done. So the pocket, I'm now going to find the half again, and I've done that with the pin. It's here just out of the screen, and I'm going to put the pocket this way, okay, and I'm going to make another little seam just a little way down from the selvage edge. That is the selvage edge. So I'm not sewing on that, I'm going to sew just a little way down, say round about there. And as you can see, I'm not actually measuring anything, I'm just keeping my eye on the centre. And off we go. There we go. So now I'm just going to top stitch this down to hold it in place. Just along the edge like this. Lovely. That'll hold that in place. This one here, that is the top, that's going to be the top of the bag, is going to go across here. That flower is halfway here. Little pin there, just going to line it up with halfway for this, and that will be about there. Now here we've got right side of the embroidery, wrong side of the lining, okay, so that will flip over after it's been sewn onto the right side. So here we go, a nice stitch to hold that down. Make sure the pocket is lying flat, and why I've turned it over this way, it's so the stitching doesn't get caught up in the feed dog underneath. So where shall I start? I think I'll start here, actually on the lace. I'll clip the lace down. Right, make sure the pocket is flat underneath, and just run that along to the, make sure the pocket underneath is lying flat. And off to the end. And that's that done. So there we are, take the pin out. and there we go. So now I'm going to fix the pocket around here. Bag, the main body of the bag, and I'm going to top stitch now along what will be the opening of the bag. So I'm just going to finger press that like this all the way along the edge, and this is quite firm so it's staying in place nicely. Just going to do that and then sew that, top stitch it along the edge. There we go. And I'm going to turn it over and do it from this way so the stitching doesn't get caught again in the feed dog. I always think that's a funny word, isn't it, feed dog? Reminds me of when I used to keep dogs. Right. Right, run that off and there we go. So that is that. Right, I'm going to push that out of the way. There. And now I'm going to assemble this and get it ready for machine sewing again onto the actual piece of work, the slashing. So I'm just trimming off this here. Right, so now we've trimmed off the raggy bits, I'm going to put this down, just trim off those. I'm going to find the centre again, and we know that is the centre here. I'm going to place this, the bag bottom if you like, down here and leave some seam allowance around the edge. Now it's very close, so I think I might possibly catch some of the lace around here and around there in the seam, but it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter. But there's a nice seam allowance here at the bottom down there. Now that's going to go there, right about there, and then this will come over. Okay, so first of all though, we're going to sew this down round about there. So a few pins, just going to put a few pins right the way around the edge just to hold it in place, because it is a bit of a tricky shape. It's round, it's a curve. There we go. All I'm doing is using 3 pins. You see, 1, 2, 3 pins. Now I'm going to sew that on around here, not over the lace. I need to move the pocket out of the way. I nearly forgot. So we'll take the pocket up there. Make sure we're not going to clip the pocket. There. So sew that all the way around there, and then the pocket will be tucked in again. Right, so I'm going to start with a little back stitch. Keep it flat as you go so it doesn't pucker up. And take the pins out as you go so you don't run over them and risk breaking the needle. Finish off with a back stitch, and there we are. So now you can see what's happening already, but the pocket now needs to go inside. I'm going to put the pocket in there. Just fits neatly. Then that will come over there. Now we need to push this down as much as we can. You see the edge here? We need to get the edge of the seam right on the edge. Like that. Now there are other ways of doing this, but I think this is possibly the easiest way. Right, we're going to put right side to right side here, and then sew all the way around and leave just about 4 inches free at the end so we can pull it in. The next bit is the fun bit where we pull it into the right side. First of all, we're going to clip the points here, making sure not to clip stitches. So close enough to the stitches to make a difference, but not to open them up, not to clip them. Lovely. Right, here we go. Fingers crossed and baby toes. So we start at the furthest point and bring that in. One, two, three, and the last one. The only thing left to do now is to turn to the opening, tuck in the raggy bits, trim them first, tuck in what would be the seam allowance, pin them together, and with a very, very small stitch just over sew the opening closed. And it's now finished. I've put a rouleau loop here on the opening, and it attaches here. Now the buttons here, I've got 4 buttons. I've got a small button underneath to make the shank, then a large button, slightly smaller button, and then on top a very small button. So I'm quite pleased with that. Now the inside, and that is what we have now. I'm just going to make this a tiny bit smaller. There we go. And there we are. I have pressed it and it looks as if I've ironed some creases there. But there's the opening. Now the pocket can either stay this side, or we can put something in it. Let's have a look. Put something in there and then pop it inside. Now there's the lining in the inside. We'll stick that in there out of the way, and then this will come down, and you see the button here. Once again, have three buttons here, and I've taken the colours from the sewing here, so they're predominantly purple, and then all I'm going to do is loop that through the lace like there, and there we have it finished. That's the back. Now for some reason Oh, I don't suppose I was concentrating. I managed to put the buttons on the back. That's okay. I put the rouleau loop on the front, and I think that is why I wanted the rouleau loop to show like that. Okay, and there we are, all done, all finished. So now there are two of these, both with a slashed background, both with vintage inside, small bag inside, and both with a different tie. That one has the rouleau loop, and this one has, as you can see, the ties. This one has more decoration on. It has the applique, the top stitchery, the embellishment with sequins. I think that, yes, I said the top stitchery. So I wonder which one you prefer. I think I actually prefer that one. I'm just sorry that that wasn't the front, because I think that is absolutely lovely, that one. So I do hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a go, because it is really good fun, all that slashing, all that cutting. And as I say, you don't need a sewing machine. You can do something smaller, maybe quarter the size, whatever, half the size. Just have a go and see how you get on. But I think you'll like it. You can embellish it however you want. So if you like that, would you please like it? I'd be very grateful, and I'll get back to you shortly. And once again, big thank you for all those who took part in the postcard swap. That was great fun too. So looking forward to speaking to you all on Facebook. Hopefully I'll get it re-established on my phone, because that was always useful when I'm out and about to see what's going on. But take care everyone, wherever you are. Just be very, very careful and have a peaceful life. Okay, speak to you soon. Take care now.